What's up, everybody? Welcome to System Crafters Live. I'm David Wilson, and we're back again with another live stream where I break everything right before the beginning of the stream, as it always is, especially at the last minute, because it's 15 minutes late for a 15-minute late stream. Yes, alternate web was right. The bot crashed, and you know why? Because I integrated Sigil audio into the stream overlay. And for some reason, I made some changes to the code. And apparently, I broke the LiveCrafter backend. So now, when I press play, it crashes the stream overlay. Luckily, it doesn't crash the stream, though. So the stream is still up. But then the audio goes away because of a dict filter function that's been moved somewhere else. I could try to fix that right now, but I'm not going to bore you with that. I'm just going to keep going because the chat's working. As you can see, we just saw Dave wave in the chat. Hey, Dave, nice to see you. But not hi to alternate web because alternate web's just been giving me grief and taunting me the entire time. And that's not nice, you know, because I'm trying really hard here to be on time 30 minutes late. Yeah, I know it's dead, alternate web. Obviously, it's dead. Now I got to see if I can get MPV to run with the old Emacs Lisp code to see if I can get the audio up. Just give me a minute. All right, I know you all want to hear the same 4 tracks over and over and over again, just like the old days. Let me see if I can find it, though. All right, so projects code. How about that? There you go. You're quitting what? What are you going to quit? You're going to quit coming to the streams? You're going to quit coming to the channel? You know that you can't get entertainment like this anywhere else. You can't get entertainment like this anywhere else. This is not foot term, Trev. This is graphical Emacs, I think. This is graphical Emacs. So don't get your hopes up. Okay. So where was I? After I was being harassed, as usual, for being late on time. Yes, much better with background music. Yeah, I can't stream without sound in the background now because it feels really strange to me. I feel like I'm talking to myself. At least if I have the music playing, I feel like I'm in the right headspace to do this. Otherwise, it just gets really awkward. It feels like I'm talking to people in front of a camera on the internet when there's no music playing in my headphones, which sounds insane thing to say because it's exactly what I'm doing. Late on time. That's right, Cal. Harassment. Yes, left pad. You're not the only one doing the harassing here. All right. So hello to Trev, Cal2001, Alternate Ved, Techno, Arno, Infreak, Rob. I saw Peter in there somewhere before, but I think I lost the back buffer of the chat. Left pad, Ashraz. Let's see. Who else am I missing here? Dave. I already said hello to Dave. Trev says Claude is talking in his headphones. He's just repeating. I wish it was so easy. Hello to Darshak. Is anybody speaking on the YouTube or Twitch side? Because I have the stream chat stuff hooked up. Apparently not, because from Sasha Chua and straight in the System Crafters Emacs Friday, it says Kreister. Hello to Artie. I didn't see that on the YouTube side. It's not coming through, apparently. Hey, Antares. All kinds of problems here. Hey, Lord Devi. S-Copy's doing the job, even though it's not dead, is it? It's still running, dude. You see it. It's in the chat. It's there, okay? I see it. I can see the program over here still running. The only time it crashes is when I try to play music right now. That's because I stupidly changed the library that a specific function comes out of, and I haven't updated this code yet, so that's my mistake. Hello to OmniV. Trying to burn my tongue again this time. All right, so I'll try not to waste a lot of time here. Hey, Gun. Thanks, Dave. I'm gonna get to that one first. I'll try not to waste too much time here. What's been happening? Oh, I've had a 2.5-year-old home sick for like 6-7 days from school. That's been fun. Now I'm sick because obviously if your kids bring home viruses from school, you're more than likely gonna get them. So that's the world we're living in right now. This is the post-holiday funk where you get all the weird viruses and bacterium and all the things that you don't really want to have in your house. But this is what happens, you know? You got to send your kids to school so they can learn something, but then at the same time, they bring you home gifts like viruses. And it's wonderful. So if you've never experienced that before, be thankful, but probably one day you might experience it. So just be warned, this is what happens. Morgan says, also in terms of news, Summer Emacs confirmed alive and well. Yes, Summer Emacs just likes to blow into the chat, into the IRC some days and just like, I don't want to say harass everybody, but just sort of like just ping a bunch of people and just cause a bunch of noise and then disappear again because she's off on some CIA mission. Trev says, my wife said that you aren't sick if you can use a computer. I'd like to counter that statement with, I'm going to use the computer anyway. It doesn't matter. Because I'm an addicted person. Like, this is where I feel comfortable, sitting right here in this chair in front of these screens, dealing with the stupid software choices that I've made. And this, I didn't say that, left pad. Anyway, back to the point. Even if I'm sick, I'm going to be sitting at the computer because that's where I'm supposed to be, right? We're all here because we're the type of people who are supposed to be sitting in front of a computer, for better or for worse. So it's going to happen. Already says, Emacs is a smart choice. Yeah, it is a smart choice, yes. Peter says, your wife confuses sickness with death. Exactly. If I'm dead, I probably won't be in front of the computer. But if I'm sick, I'm still going to be here. Ashraz says, I usually just stay in bed when I'm sick. Well, Ashraz, this is because you are one of the more conscientious and responsible people that shows up in this community. I'm not one of those, okay? I'm not conscientious and responsible when it comes to things like that. Preaching, come on now, let's not go that far. Let's not go that far, all right? I'm not saying that people should do anything other than be on the computer when you're sick, okay? Being sick is a consequence of my other choices. Now, I'm gonna be on the computer anyway. We're changing to the Primeagen chat. How's that? It's not anything like that. Okay. I don't know because I don't watch Primeagen that much. Artie says, I'm never well, always between sick and not sure of full health. Well, I guess that could be said for anyone. Let's see. All right. Oh, yeah. Alternate vet. Thanks for bringing that up. PKL said to mention those VC changes. We need to look at that, but I don't know how much time we're going to have to look at that. Not classy enough for what, left pad? Trev says, should we leave and go watch this stream instead? Do it. Go for it. All right. Let's see. Let me get the stream notes started up here. Systemcrafters.net. Find directory, live streams. There they are. And then this is January, right? So we were on January 9th the last time. And as I always do, I'm going to copy and paste. Infreak says, show us the new GUI using Sigil. Can't really do it right now. I guess I can. Let me see. Let me make sure I don't have like my my bank accounts on the screen or anything before I do this. Is this gonna work? Give me 1 second. So you can see what I see. Where is screen capture? Watch this crash the stream. Yeah, there you go. And boom, look at that. That's the UI, okay? Sigil isn't real, right? It's a meme. Well, it's real enough. See that? This is the chat that I'm looking at right now. Got that? That's Sigil Web UI. And it actually works. Alternate, I found it on this site, sexed.com. Yeah, you put it there, buddy. It's not a meme language, it's a real language, but I don't necessarily recommend people use it. All right, bye-bye. So, Leftbat says, who in their right mind would program in a language that's called after oxidized rust, oxidized iron? I don't know. I don't really want to program in that language, though, regardless of the name, just because it seems like it makes me do a lot of work. And I'm kind of lazy, as if you haven't noticed. I'd rather just program and scheme. Okay, anyway, back to trying to make the show notes. I need to make this text bigger, too. Where the hell? There it is. Okay, so this is January, what, 23rd? 23rd, 2023. Boy. I know exactly what year it is. What's a brain disease? Using Emacs, declarative UIs in Emacs with vui.el. And today is what? The 23rd? I don't know what day it is anymore. They all just blend together for me at this point. Okay. News is. We're just going to get rid of these. There's a couple things. Geeks 1.5.0 is has been released. And then check out new VC mode changes in Emacs 31. I haven't fully understood what the changes are yet. I looked at the link that BCal sent, but I didn't really understand. Scopy says, boss, I expect a pay raise. Your damn bot isn't reliable. So, 60% sound, what? Yes, for some reason, the Restream chat API is not working now. It was working before it crashed the last time, but now it doesn't work. I do not advise that necessarily. You don't want to know my real opinion on that. So, I keep hitting the wrong key binding to get back to the other screen. There we go. Very, very good. Okay, so let's check out vui.el. So, Emacs vui.el. Let me just grab a link to that real quick. So first of all, I want to talk about Geeks 1.5.0. This just got announced, like, left pad. This just got announced, like, what, 2 hours ago, 1 hour ago? Yeah, it's the 23rd. So Geeks 1.5 is now out. It has been 3 years since the previous release. I know that because the last video that I made about installing Geeks used 1.4, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a while. And if you know anything about Geeks, you know that it's like a rolling release distro where whenever you use Geeks pull, you get the latest stuff that's in the master branch or the main branch of the Geeks channel. But there is a staging branch that's being worked on the side with a lot of updates to kind of really wide-ranging libraries like GTK or like the GNOME interface and just other things that would be difficult to update piece by piece. So larger releases like Geeks 1.5 are usually different than what you had been seeing previously with the individual commits that go into the main Geeks channel. So you may be thinking, oh, well, I already have all the stuff that's in Geeks 1.5. You probably don't. There's probably things in there that you don't have. So if you haven't upgraded yet to Geeks 1.5, which you probably haven't because it just came out, and I haven't either because I didn't want to do it for the stream and delay things even further because I already did delay it another 30 minutes, whatever. You should check it out and see what's in there because I haven't actually checked it out yet. So that's a lot of time reflecting both the fact that as a rolling release, user continuously get new features and update by running Geeks pull, a lack of processes, something we had to address before another release could be made. Sure, that makes sense. Peter says, isn't that more in the team branches? I don't know how much they use those. That's a really nice graphic, by the way. Luis Felipe makes really good graphics for Geeks. So, adopted with unanimity, consensus-based decision-making process. Cool. Clear framework for any contributor to propose and implement important changes. So it's basically an RFC protocol, I guess. And it's called Geeks Consensus Documents. Okay. They also migrated the Codeberg, which you know about. Release process. A Planet website for Geeks is now available. Is systemcrafters.net on there? That's what we got to know. I see Dave on there. Okay, good. System Crafters is on there. Thank you, whoever put this together and considered me. I think I know who did it. So who else is on here? JFred's on here. Yakumo, Future Isle, Fabio, Akites, Chris Baines, Arun, Andrew, yeah, of course. Katie, Plasma, Login Manager requires systemd now, so most likely Geeks won't get it. Yeah, it could not. It could be that it won't work, but somebody could hack it to make it work. I mean, what does it really need? Because systemd, they pulled eLoginD out of systemd for Geeks, probably for other distros too. Maybe Gentoo uses it. Anyway, point is, the core stuff that's needed from systemd probably would work for KDE unless they really do need systemd. Oscar says, there's a warning sign on Firefox hamburger menu. Seems like an extension needs new permissions. Probably. I don't care. It can stay that way. So, to start, KDE Plasma 6.5 is now available. Okay. GNOME has been updated from 42 to 46 and now uses Wayland by default. That's a big deal. Geek Systems is using version 1.0 of Shepherd. 40 new system services, including a Forgeo runner, which is kind of cool. If you want to run a Forgeo instance, you can have a runner also. Let's see. What else? Yeah, we saw that one before. Set UID programs has been replaced with privileged programs. We introduced cooperation using teams, 50 teams distributing many aspects of the distribution. Distributing the many aspects of the distribution. Okay. We have per language teams like Python, Rust, and Zig. Electronics team, science team, Rust team. Cool. Full source bootstraps of the Zig and Mono compilers now available. That's cool. And the existing bootstrap of Geeks has been reduced once again. All right. Great. Improved CLI. Geek shell containers have been improved with a nesting option. Yeah, I think I've used that before. Geeks locate command is now available to find which package to provide a given file. That's been there for like 2 years though, I think. Like some of these things are pretty old, but they're being mentioned because between 1.4.0 to 1.4.5, there's been a lot of changes. It's just that most of us have seen them already if you've been using Geeks day to day. Okay, what else? Widen architecture support, fundraising campaign, acknowledgements. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so anyway, if you're a Geeks user, go and Geeks pull. I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't wanna break the stream, obviously, any more than I've already done it. But yes, congratulations to all the Geeks contributors and the maintainer team for releasing Geeks 1.5. Obviously, it's my favorite distro. I'm using it right now, and I'm regularly breaking my system with it, so kudos to everyone. Hello, Elephant Ergo. Excited about Planet Geeks? Yes, Planet Geeks is cool. All right. And yes, we mentioned Sigil before. I've released a couple updates to Sigil. It did not die, Alternate Ved. Give me a break, buddy. It's just stopped for a moment because it's switching tracks. I'm pretty sure it's still running. Give it a second. It'll be there in a moment. Anyway, Sigil development continues. There have been some new developments on that front. Use sigil.org/releases if you want to see sort of what I'm talking about there. I've got 1.5 sort of halfway ready at this point. Sure. Listen. That's music, right? So I've got more things happening. But I got sidetracked this week with, sick kids and having to deal with a lot of stuff at my job. So things slowed down a little bit, but, we had a lot of progress recently. I don't want to talk about all that right now, but if you want to check it out, go look at the releases page and download the latest version. And let me know if you run into any issues, if you actually, if you care to use it. Alternate Vet says, let's see. Ashra says you need a Winamp-like equalizer on stream in the bottom bar. Alternate Vet says, so we have proof that music is still running. Who cares? Who cares if the music is running aside from me because I have to listen to it to not go crazy. All right. So let's check out vui.el. So how many of you love React.js? Have you used React.js? Do you love React.js? I can't say that I love React.js. It's interesting, but I think it's also has a tendency to be overly complex, and it does serve as a more or less functional UI paradigm, and I mean functional in the actual functional programming sense, and not just it functions. But it's cool, But it actually is a little bit complicated, and the patterns that you have to use are a little mystifying if you've been used to writing UI in other toolkits and platforms in the past. We're not really going to get into React.js itself, but the point is that there is now a library for Emacs called vui, or vui, I guess, .el, which gives a React-like component-driven UI experience in Emacs. It doesn't mean that there's like, graphical UIs and buttons and stuff like you would see in a normal desktop application, but it is using a built-in library called widgets.el in Emacs, which probably is being used in various other places like package.el, package listings, etc., to provide UI elements inside of Emacs. So effectively, you can have something like a React.js based UI, a functional UI in Emacs using this library. Now, I will go ahead and say I have literally never used this thing other than just looking at this main README page and just seeing a couple of examples. So we're all going to be figuring it out together today. Also, this library has existed for about 2 months, it seems, because the gitignore file is from 2 months ago. It says chore init, initial LDev project setup. So it's not very old. And as you can see, our friend Claude is in the contributors list here. So I have a feeling that this is rapidly developed using AI assistants, which I'm not complaining about because, I mean, who am I to complain? I just wrote a whole freaking scheme implementation using Claude over the last 2 months. But just so you know, it's been written with that. If it matters to you, then you think what you want, decide what you want about whether you should try this out. But since multiple people, including Morgan and alternate ved in the IRC, recommended me to look at this and a related package, I figured why not take a look at it because it sounds interesting. I mean, why not look at a UI development library inside of Emacs and see how little progress we can make in the 1 hour that remains in the stream, right? Peter says, React accreted too much stuff during its lifetime. So if you have been watching React, and this is not a React stream, alternate ved, this is not a reaction stream where we react to things. We're going to be reacting to a React-like library and writing some React code and reacting to what the React-like code looks like in reaction to the changes we make to the state. The components will react to the state changes, and then we will react to what we see in the screen with this React-like library. But this is not really a React stream, okay? Are we clear on that? Did it make sense? Anyway. Claude whispers sweet, sweet nothings into your ears. Claude would have to tell me to say all those words that I just said because there's no way I could have just come up with that off the top of my head, right? Okay, where was I? I completely lost it. React is cool for a demo page, says Rob. Once it's on the real world web, it is so complex that you lose which use effect broke what. Yes, exactly. Okay, that's where I was. So Peter says React accreted so much stuff during its lifetime. Have you followed React since the beginning? They've changed patterns like 5 or 6 times. And every time it was like this big announcement about here's the new way forward. It's almost like Apple product announcements, Usually it's the kind of thing where you have like the hype machine of some technology where people are just like, yeah, this is the new thing. And it's like a religious event almost. Maybe I'm going a little bit too far in that. Cal has a very flat reaction to everything. Yes. You should. Okay. Yes, Peter, exactly. It's just like they keep changing and changing. It's not changing so much now, I think, but it did go through quite a lot of changes in the past. Anyway, so let's take a look at the repo here just to get a little bit of a glimpse of what's in here. Declarative component-based UI framework for Emacs. Build reactive UIs in Emacs using familiar patterns from React and other modern UI frameworks. Define components with local state props, lifecycle hooks, and automatic re-rendering. So, components, reusable UI building blocks, reactive state, hooks. Yeah, we have use effect in Emacs now. Hooray! And use ref. Hooray! Great. Context, share data across component trees without prop drilling. Is that illegal? I thought that prop drilling was illegal in many states because you're not supposed to be drilling under like the water table. Never mind. We're not reacting today. That's right. Stop reacting to React and just stick to web components. It's already a W3C standard. Who uses standards? Don't we all just use the things that corporations give to us? Standards are not a part of this, We have to have somebody to tell us what to use, and the only person who can do that, or the only entity that can do that, is a corporation, right? Anyway, sorry. Layout primitives, HStack, VStack, box table lists. Error boundaries, developer tools. Well, this is kind of a developer tool, right? Component inspector, timing profiler, debug logging. Yeah, in 2 months. Anyway, here's a quick example. We're requiring the vui library. We're defining a component using a macro, vui def component counter. We have a state keyword, I guess we could say. starting state, and this looks like an A list, but it's probably not as much like an A list because there's no dot there, so it's just a sublist with a key value pair. Render, and I guess this is just an SXML-like thing. It's a component tree, effectively. It's a fragment. Text, new line, and button. All right. And then there's an on-click handler with a lambda, vui set state, count, 1 plus count. So is the value of count bound in the context of the function, the render function? It must be. Maybe we'll macro expand that and see. Maybe we'll macro expand it and see what it actually turns into. Alternate Vet says, I love a quick example of a UI library without screenshots. Well, Claude can't do that, Kenny. Result, a buffer with text. So Claude is explaining to us that it's a result, a buffer with text, count 0, and a clickable button. I can really imagine that, you know, like I'm inspired by the images in my head right now of this button that increases a count. More examples, props and composition. I mean, it's good that we have examples, right? Alternate Vet says, I guess Claude can't generate that. It will definitely generate you some ASCII mockups, that's for sure. I mean, it should be able to like launch Emacs and then run the code and take a screenshot, but you know, maybe we're asking too much at this point. Left Pad says, typical Emacs UI package, code examples, not a single friggin' screenshot. Yep. That's the way it goes. All right, so it's a state management looks like. Is a state management looks like. All right, curses in parens. Yeah, we're definitely going to be cursing in the middle of parens. Ashra says, compare that to GPT-el, which has lots of videos included. That's because Karthik made it. And Karthik makes really nice videos and demonstrations. So, of course, he's going to have videos in his READMEs. There are many. Alternate Vet says, Claude got people for that, like David will. Yeah, I'm just the hands for the bot now, I guess, right? I just do what it says. Okay, getting started. Are there actual full documentation pages? A wine tasting app. Okay, actually, I know that the guy who made this has a wine tasting company, so that makes sense that he would have a wine tasting thing. File browser. There's a conversation to be had. Is this video sponsored by Claude? Why not? Yeah, that's not gonna happen. There's a conversation to be had about how fast AI can produce libraries for Emacs. I'm not going to go into that right now, but there's a conversation to be had there. The implications are a little bit interesting and weird and maybe depressing in a way. It's not a Claude stream. We're just complaining about Claude, okay? It's not a Claude stream. You don't see me using Claude, do you? You won't see me using Claude. I'm going to actually code this by hand, or at least copy and paste the examples by hand, and we're going to go with that. All right, so anyway, file browser, dev component breadcrumb, hstack, text. I like the fact that there are examples here, so at least I'll be able to bang my head the way through it and figure something out. Where is my cursor now? Alternate Vet says, Ralph Wiggum method. Yes, that is something that people do. Stupid keyboard. Wake up. There it is. Rob says, in my experience, ChatGPT or Cursor is pretty bad with eLisp or Guile scheme and makes up things very frequently. Yes, it does. That's for sure. It even makes up things for Sigil too. But this is why I made an MCP server that gives it more information so that it makes up less things and actually gets it right. And also having it write code from inside of your original repository helps a lot too. Ashra says, it's depressing and we're not going into that. Basically summarizes the current experience in the software development field. Kind of does. Why is my keyboard no longer working? Come on, wake up. Here it is, okay. So let's just try it out here. This is maybe on Melpa, but maybe we can just pull it using vcgit. Does it say Melpa somewhere? Melpa? Do I have Melpa? I don't think I have Melpa in this config because I don't really use Melpa anymore. Do I have Melpa in this config? Let's see. Dot files emacs.org. Melpa? Melpa? No Melpa. Elpa? Elpa? I don't have unit Elpa configuration here. Don't need it. Let's just use package VC. So :VC. There's one. Let me just steal this little snippet and I'm gonna go over to the scratch buffer and paste that right there. Get out of here. All right, we'll straighten that up a little bit. Let me increase the size of the text to default text scale increase. That's better, right? Okay, so I'm gonna pull. Is that right? Okay. And what ref are we using here? Do they have releases? Okay, 1.0. Cool. So we got V 1.0. That's the ref we're gonna pull. I'm gonna drop this in. Get out of here. Right here. All right, so now. File to save. I keep hitting Control S because that's just the way things go here. Will you clone it for me? Thank you. Clone. Pull it. Error. Cannot load. Open load file. Buttercup. Okay, it's using Buttercup for testing. Okay, so package refresh. Package install. Buttercup. There you go. How about that? vui. Okay. There seems to be some vui things here. Let me just copy and paste this thing right over to the January org file. Let's do a little ret thing here. Ret. Okay. Set up a llama. No, why would I set up a llama just to install a package, dude? There ain't no way. Leftpad says you're gonna take an AI-generated Emacs package and run it unchecked on your machine. I've done worse than that, buddy. I've done way worse than that. Leftpad says we should have an IRC interface to talk QMK, ZMK firmware. Twitch plays David will. Well, I could do that in the stream, which would be terrible. Hey, Anders. Anders says, how is Greece? And ooh. Sorry. For a second, my screen went off, and I thought that I forgot to plug in my laptop, as usual. In Sweden, it's -5 in snow. Well, it's not -5 here. It's probably about somewhere 12. Alterved, be quiet, dude. It is not dead. All right, anyway. So, back to the code. We're going to open up a little buffer here, and let's just see how this works. Okay, I don't know exactly where the UI goes whenever you make some. vui mount. Let's just take this example and run it. Leftpad says, that was funny for a bit. It still is. It is, but it already was. It sounds too philosophical for me, Leftpad. All right, I'm going to define a component called counter. Then I'm going to execute the mount thing. Okay, so it did what it said it would do. It made a counter UI. I click increment. And error, symbols value as variable is void count. Why? I'll bet you money it's because I did it inside this buffer and lexical binding is not turned on. So maybe we need to put this in an actual file. Revert changes. Sure, I don't care. Let's go to UI vui test.el, because why not? Eval buffer. Now I'm going to click on it. Okay, it does work, sort of. I clicked it once and it stopped incrementing. Is it because I clicked it at a different location? What if I press enter? Okay, we're incrementing counter now. You see the counter being incremented? 10 subs to remap meta to RMRF? No, thank you. This is geeks. It's not going to work anyway. Morgan says you should take online donations for where every $50 one of your keys gets remapped. Maybe one day we'll try that, because that would be pretty funny, I think. And also not very lucrative, because why would anybody want to do that more than once? Okay, so this example does work, thankfully. Claude wrote code that works. Yes, it actually works. I'm shaking my head right now in disbelief. So props and composition, def component greeting, vui text, hello name, vui component greeting. We got to refer to the components by a symbol, not the actual binding name, which is a little bit annoying in my opinion, but I guess that's because it's a Lisp 2, not a Lisp 1, like Scheme, which is the real ideal form of a Lisp, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Anyway, so vui component greeting, name Alice, name Bob. Okay, cool. Let's just see. Can I run that too? I guess I'll have to mount it, right? Yeah, T. So we're gonna mount app instead. In this case, app, not CPP. I'm gonna go run this snippet here with Control-Alt-X, and this one too, and then this one. Okay, hello Alice, hello Bob. That does work. Cool, cool, great. Where's Fade? Where is Fade? Somebody go wake him up. I don't think he's sleeping, but you know, he's missing all the fighting words. Yeah, he knows. He knows what I'm saying. All right, name form. This is a form. It has a field. Ooh, how about that? Let's try this out. We're gonna pull this in. Once we get to something a little bit more meaty, we can try to actually explain what's happening here. So name form. Fade Routha? No. Just Fade. All right, so enter name. How do I get to that field? Right here? Is that it? There we go. Fubert. Hello, Fubert. Hello, Jack Bauer. Okay, so it does update. Cool. How about that? So it's updating in real time when I type. Good. Cal says, have you already talked about common Lisp? It usually gets them onto the stage. Yeah, I'm making fun of common Lisp right now. So, and also Emacs Lisp by definition. So let's take a look at this example real quick, just to sort of see what's going on here, because this has a little bit more to it than what we had seen prior to this. So we have vui def component. Can I actually do like a macro expand? Macro expand last s expression. So we'll go through it as we look at the example code. So we're defining a component called name form for state, which state is basically the variables in a general sense that are related to this form. You can consider it like the parameters to the component, the overall component. So there's a name that starts off as an empty string, and it could have many values for the state for this component. Now we're telling it we want to render a fragment, which is obviously not a whole user interface, just some subset of the UI. So we're saying this is a fragment we want to render. And then in this vui fragment, we have the individual components that make up that fragment, the fragment for the component. Okay, so we got just plain text label, enter name, then vui field, which value comes from name. So I'm guessing that there's a binding here that we're tracking for the name that gets defined in the state. We pull the state in, we say that the size is 20. I guess that means the size of the field itself. And then on change, when that value changes, we're gonna call into vui set state using a lambda expression. And we're gonna set name to v. Now, I don't like the fact that we're kind of switching modalities here in a way and using a keyword to refer to name instead of using a symbol to refer to name, but that's just the way it was designed. It feels like a little bit of a, I don't know, something that people would get wrong often, in my opinion. You would think that you would just type in name here and not name, or even like a symbol, not a keyword. I would expect to see this instead, if anything. But that is what it is. Okay. So we're setting the value to v. So whatever you type into this field, it automatically gets pushed to the state value of name, right? Then we have a new line, because keep in mind we're basically rendering a text buffer here. Okay. So we've got text and then the field right after that. So they're all on the same line together. And then we put in a new line after that. And then we put in vui text. And we have some logic here, apparently. So it's not just plain old string here. It's actually an expression that gets evaluated. So we evaluate this if statement that says, if the string is empty, put type something. Otherwise, format the string to say hello and then whatever the value of the name state value currently is. And that's how that component works. Now, the interesting thing to keep in mind here is that whenever this component needs to be re-rendered, apparently it's deleting all of the text in the buffer at that location where that component lives and replacing it by basically rendering the text that represents this component and then placing it back in the buffer at the same location. So it's not a user interface in the sense that it's like, you know, graphical windows and buttons and stuff. It's like everything else in Emacs, it's text-based user interface that, for better or for worse, works well in this environment. Okay. And we need to mount that somewhere. This concept from React where whenever you actually want to put a React component into the UI, or at least like a root level React component in the UI, you have to mount it somewhere. So you're basically telling it where to put it. And really what we're saying is we're going to mount that into a buffer. I don't know if mount has other options. Yeah, optional buffer name. Maybe we could just tell it nothing and it will just mount it wherever it wants. Yeah, it makes a vui buffer, which I think is perfectly fine as a default. So we're saying we want to mount the vui component name form. And what about component vnode? What does vui component return? Type, props, and children. Oh, can we give a default value? Wonder what it looks like. Let's do control HF. Props and children is a plist of props, optionally ending with children. Interesting. So how about this? Let's do this. Name. There you go. Rafters. Didn't work. Plist of props. So is it like that instead? Wrong argument type number or marker p nil. What? Still didn't work. And that doesn't work either, does it? Ooh, did I break it entirely? That's interesting. Huh. I must have broken it. Anyway. All right, so the point being that it's pretty straightforward to make a UI like that. Let's take a look at the macro expanded code then, because the vui def component is a macro that defines a component. So vui register component, that actually takes a definition. And then this is coming from the result of vui component def dash create, which looks like an internal, but I guess both of these technically are internal functions to the package. And it takes basically a plist, it seems, or these optional function parameters in elisp. Yes, keyword parameters in the function, name, docstring, props. All right, so name form, docstring nil, lambda props. Where's props coming from? Where is that coming from? And where is name being defined? Ignore props. List name. I think this is, yeah, the initial state function. This is probably what it receives a prop list that we pass into it. I guess. Render function props state. Why do they use this naming convention? That's insane. Ignore? What does ignore do? Ignore arguments, do nothing, and return nil. Why the hell would it even put that in there? Is it doing it to satisfy a linter? Name, plist get state name. Okay, so it is defining a binding here. That's where the binding comes in. We're doing a lexical scope binding, defining name. And then inside of the code, that name binding becomes valid. So vui field value name. So here we can actually refer to name because this name symbol here gets eventually turned into a let expression with a binding. Ashra says, why don't they use GenSim? Because Claude wrote it. That's what I think too, Morgan. It would suppress compiler warnings for unused variables, but they are used. They're used in this function. Maybe they're not used all the time though, but they are used enough that I would think that you would not have that problem. So why put it in all the time? Anyway, whatever. So vui fragment, which seems like a normal function here. So create a fragment v node containing children. And then we have vui text, which is create a text v node with content. I'm kind of curious what that function looks like. And so the craft of software engineering dies. Maybe. Create a text v node with content. All right, so vui v node text create content face key. So if you put face and key, at least face, you can change the face of the text, which is good. We might need that for our Pomodoro timer that we'll never get to. Properties. Okay, we're using CL loop for key and value on props. Got it. So we're looping through the P list unless memq face key. I'm guessing unless it's one of those, we append it to a list. And we skip those here because we've already extracted them in the plist get for face and key. All right, makes sense. Be quiet, alternate ved. I don't believe you. I hear the music myself, dude. vui fragment. vui v node fragment create. Children. Okay, that's pretty easy. These are all just public interface procedures or functions to internals. Slop crash was live. I'm not writing it, okay? I didn't make this. I didn't make this today, okay? We're not crafting slop, we're just consuming it, right? This is not a React stream. Anyway, vui new line create. I love how we have to have a function to create a new line. Can't that just be a call down to the text component? All right. Space, create a space vnode with spaces. All right, cool. It's because the volume is very low, Lord Devi. And I'm talking most of the time. That's probably why you don't hear it. vui button. All right, so here's where we get an actual widget probably. Vui node button create. Max width node decoration. Thank you, Ashraz, for bringing the sanity back into the equation here. Alternate Vet says that David Will's hearing Claude sing to them. Peter says it is also not a cult. It's not a cult. Come on. I'm not playing hypnotic music to keep you in a suggestible state so I can sell you things like Claude Max subscriptions or something like that. I would never do that, would I? Maybe. So anyway, vui node button create. vui.el, where is it at? Meta dot. Okay, so node button. I want to see where it actually uses the stuff. This one, right? Why is it sending me back to that function? Oh, because of the def struct. Got it. It's a constructor for this struct. That looks so terrible. Leftpad says David Will should pivot to a Zen stream and let us all meditate for 1 minute. That would be so boring, man. I'm going to lead you on a guided meditation where we all just cry. What's a new language? Rust is better than skate cats. What are skate cats? It's a new language. What the hell is a skate cat? Elephant Argo says, that sounds really nice. I think we could all use that. I don't know if we want that. I guess if you just listen to the soundtrack here, you could meditate. Okay. All right. So the premise for the stream, aside from looking at this package, was to try to create something ourselves. And the idea that I had was to create a simple Pomodoro-like user interface, okay? So can we do that? I don't know, let's see. What would we need to create a Pomodoro interface? Let me go back to my vui test.el library or function. Does this export to HTML? Why should it, InFreak? This is not an actual React interface. This is just inside of Emacs. Alternative says, are we testing Neary? Do you see Neary? We're not very neary to that. I'm not going to apologize for that. So, what would we want to see in a Pomodoro UI? Start timer button. Potentially that changes to stop. It's like following a pasta trail. What does that mean? So what else? I mean, we obviously need to see the timer text on the screen. Can we center it? I wonder if we can actually center the text. Probably not. What else? I mean, start and stop, sure. Maybe a list of completed timers. Maybe include canceled. Something like that, right? Simple. Alternative says, are we writing an agents.md file to implement Pomodoro? Do you want me to? I'll be the agent. I'll be the agent doing the work. All right. vui, def component, Pomodoro, timer, state. Time remaining. Or how about this time text? Okay. Time text is running nil. Will it support a list, I wonder? History, timer history? Okay. Render. vui fragment. Watch this be like a really easy and convenient way to make UI in Emacs, and I end up eating my hat. Not literally, you know, that's a turn of phrase. It's an idiom. Because it ends up being like a pretty decent way to make UI in Emacs. And, you know, we have to cry because Claude made it. All right, so vui fragment. The timer text would be first. Text. I would actually just put the time text directly, but we want to set the face. And I need to create a face. I don't know, like, does it take a face spec, I wonder? We're gonna have to test that, and I don't remember exactly the right way to do that. Let me look at my Emacs config, if I have that. So set text properties. Anybody remember the syntax for set text properties? Set text properties. Because I don't. Somebody needs to give me an example of that. My cap is pretty nice. I don't want to taste it, dude. I think I'd rather eat spaghetti than eat a hat. And yummy, says Darshak. No, I don't think so. It's not bacon flavored. Alternative says, it might has bugs here and there, but it looks interesting. At least some positivity. I appreciate that. Elephant Ergo says, I mean, we could both be impressed by it working well and also be pained by the fact that it doesn't use gem sends for the macros. Well, it is pretty ugly under the covers, but does it have to be pretty under the covers? I mean, isn't that just, you know, us being elitists and saying Lisp has to be written a certain way? I don't know. Alternative says, so are you interested in Neri after all? I mean, not really. What do I need it for, dude? I mean, look at what I'm looking at the whole day. I'm looking at one full screen window the entire day with no bar, no nothing. What you see is what I look at all day long. So I don't think I really need Neri. Astra says, we're elitists because we don't do pull requests. What do we do? Just commit directly to main? Who wants to work on slob? Well, aren't we all slobs in a way, you know? All right. Properties, it's a P list, of course. I think the first one is nil, right? There's a text properties thing. Okay, here we go. Foreground green. Got it. All right. I think that works, right? The road to enlightenment starts with insight, David Will. What kind? What kind? And who burned who, alternate vet? The chat is so behind, I can't tell if I did it or someone did it to me. I mean, we got to be up to date here. So maybe I'll just try doing it that way then. Foreground, I'll make it like orange or something. I guess it should be red for Pomodoro, but I don't want to be too literal here. Red, okay. Maybe we'll start with that. Okay, let's just start simple. Let's start simple, and we're gonna say Pomodoro timer. AD says, Neri is pure awesomeness, unsubscribed. I didn't say Neri is bad, I didn't say I don't need it. I don't personally need Neri. Now, it does look cool. It looks interesting. So vui text, maybe. That seems right? Maybe I didn't, oh, okay. All right, I got it. I didn't eval the component first. Now, this text does not have the face that I asked for, which is kind of a problem. Should we, let's get it working to a degree first. I'm gonna try to split this buffer here so we can continue loading it. Can you, what? Don't switch my buffer. Just go to the one that already exists. Okay, so props is a plist. The thing is, it's a rest parameter, so it's not really a plist. It's a list of property value pairs. Base, foreground, red. Do I need to put nil here in front? Wrong argument. Why does it do that every other time I run it? Whatever. Let's throw a couple new lines in. Can I give it a number of new lines? Apparently not. Every second time I run it, it gives me an error, which is really interesting. Okay, so let's not worry about the face just yet because the face is not working. But I'm going to try to make this render a button. This is probably not the right way to do this, but this is the way we're going to do it. Vui button. All right, so vui button. Increment. So, button label. Start. That should work, right? On click. Lambda. Vui set state. Is running true. Now this obviously won't work correctly just yet because I need to have some state checking. In fact, I could probably say if is running. Time text 25.0. Whoops. 00. Maybe that's enough. Otherwise, I think this is an implicit prog in at this point. So vui set state is running t vui set state time text. Well, I mean, it will do its own thing. Now we need the what's called run at time. There's another run function, isn't there? Run with idle timer. Perform an action after a delay of seconds. Perform an action the next time Emacs is idle. Okay, run with timer. Perform an action. There's a repeat the action after every X seconds. So seconds, and then repeat. So run with timer. 1, 1. Whoa. Okay, and then the next is the function. The next would be vui set state. I think this needs to be lambda. And it should be capturing the closure here where we can actually set the vui set state of time text. I need to have the start time too. So in fact, maybe start time Excuse me. That was totally unprofessional. All right, so you could bill me for that one. So timer start. We're not gonna have that anymore. Timer start. Whenever it's non-nil, we're gonna clear it. To do cancel the existing timer. So timer start, and I can't remember, is it like current time? Is that an object? Yeah, it's a list. All right, so we're setting the state to the current time. I wonder. Emacs timer math or time math. I don't remember exactly. Time calculations. All right. Time subtract, time add. Returns the time difference between two time values as a Lisp timestamp. So if I want to have like it's not timer start. I'm trying to think of like what is the right math for this? Do I need to say what the stop time is and then subtract that from the current time to see what's left? Or subtract the current time from the start time. We'll do that one just so I don't have to go like rewrite a bunch of stuff. All right, so time text. Can we format the time? Emacs format time. We're doing this the old-fashioned way. We're searching the internet. Time parsing, time display format. No. Format time string. Is that the right one? Format time string. Format time string. What is it? HM? No. MS? This is probably totally wrong. Current time. What is the format text? Do I need to use percent signs? There it is. M is month. M is the minute. S is the second. All right. So %M, %S, 3331. Got it. Okay. So then we need and put this over here, right there. Okay, so set time, time text, format time string. We're going to use the format string and then current time. Now, time subtract. Where was that we saw? Where did my freaking mouse cursor go? Once again. I keep having to restart the keyboard because it just like falls asleep. Time calculations. Time subtract T1, T2. So is that right? Meta says, S-Copy says 25 minutes remaining. Thank you. So this time for one Pomodoro, right? Isn't that appropriate? Thank you, S-Copy, for making that joke work. I know you must have been thinking about that. Okay, so current time from start time. We're gonna do that. Okay, it's not gonna be right. We're just gonna do it. All right. Current time minus timer start. Let's see if this actually works. Where are we? Okay, there we are. Have I closed everything? I've closed everything. S-Copy says, sorry, as a large Lovecraftian monster, LLM, I cannot tell you my thinking process. Sure, you can't. Getting very horizontal. Yes, I know, Cal. I need to break it a little bit. I just don't like breaking like this. You see that? You got 1, 1. Do I really want to drop down lambda, or do I really want to drop down 1, 1 so I can make the lambda go over? This is, you know, Lisp problems. Okay. Let's start the timer and see if it actually does anything. Event error in on-click. Symbols value as variable is void. And leftpad says, lift problem. Oslo says, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't know what we're talking about. Let's delete the other stuff in here. Okay. All right. Delete all the other stuff. Maybe I need to eval the buffer, but I don't know. Like, it should actually have... Alternate that says, I hate the indentation. Do you have anything positive to say today? You just say that the music's gone and you hate the indentation? You have to read the message on IRC? I have no idea. Okay, so... Rust is better than basic? Well, yeah, I mean, come on. Still the same. So, symbols value as variable is void. Did I use the wrong variable name? Is that what happened? Timer start? No. That's valid. Okay. So why is it not capturing this timer start value? I mean, presuming that this is where the error is coming from. Is it coming? Maybe it's coming from somewhere else, actually. vui event error in on click. Symbols value as variables void. That does sound like an Emacs error. This is not like a vui error. So timer start. Is there a function called that already somewhere else? No. Okay. Should be time text. Oh, yeah, that's true. Thank you to Lalo. That's correct. That should be different. I screwed that up. I also screwed that up here. But I think that this binding for timer start here is not being recognized. Do we want to macro expand that? Timer start, timer start. Timer start. Lambda nil. So are we not capturing the closer? Is it being set to nil on line 11? Hey, Ed. If timer start, let's go back to the code. If timer start, we saw that already. Oh, on click. You know, it could even be this one. Huh. That should work, shouldn't it? Like, based on the examples we saw? Okay. vui... No. On click. What other example did we see before? On click. Fun call set path. Set path target. Okay. On open entry. I'm not seeing access of that. Hey, Minas Mezar. On filter. I'm trying to see if there's an example of using a state variable in a click handler. Because currently, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing an example that actually does it. On cancel. On cancel. Where's on cancel defined? Oh, whoa, what? Function parameters. Oh, so function component parameters is different than state. Left pad. Come on. We're having meta conversations across 3 personas here. All right. So, to do app. On click, on toggle, ID. Yeah, okay, here, look. ID is, no, that's not state, that's a let. Whoa. I'm getting real confused now. So far, I am not seeing a click handler that reaches into a state value. Now, here's one. So text is a state value, and then, yeah, it's defined as a state value, and we're using it in onClick. So it should be possible in terms of this library. Bryce says, anyone know what the background music is? Look in the description of the stream, and at the very bottom, there's links to all the tracks. They're all Creative Commons tracks. Okay, so clearly, there should be a way to do this, and it must be my shoddy Emacs Lisp coding that's causing the problem. Time subtract, timer start. How about we just do this for now, current time, and see if that's the culprit? Did I miss a paren? Looks like I did. Still, symbols value is variable. Symbols value as variable is void. For some reason, that is a very difficult sentence for me to read. Thank you, scopy. Is it this first if timer start? Did I do something wrong with the multiple bindings? I'm very confused as to what is happening here. On click. What if I took all this out for now? Okay, we're just gonna write out a little message to the screen. That worked. All right, fine. Now we got to go backwards and try to debug this thing. How about this? It probably won't work. And why not? Are we not using it somewhere else? Thank you, scopy. I can't actually see the viewer count on my screen here. Peter says, Neri is the window manager for the discerning audio file stream viewer. Got it. Thank you, scopy, for being a smartass. All right, so time text. Should I put time text? This is going to end up being something really stupid. I'm going to get pissed. No, it's the same. They're all having the same problem. Okay, look. Eval buffer. Sure. All right, look. We're losing lexical scoping somehow. I don't know if it's because I didn't eval the buffer the right way the first time. But lexical scoping was not turned on, apparently. And that's the reason why we lost the ability to do or reach into bindings that are bound in the macro. So timer start. Let's see if it works now. That's so damn stupid. I really can't. I have to eval the whole thing. Whatever. That's fine. That's actually easier. Eval buffer. Okay. So error running timer. vui set state called outside of component context. Can you not run a timer? Is there a way to run timers in here? Guide. This is probably one of the places where we have to start doing hooks, isn't it? Runs code after rendering, optionally with cleanup. Use effect count. Count change to. Sure. Ah, here we go. Look at that. Return a function from the effect body to run cleanup. Use effect, start timer, vui with async context. So this is basically what we're doing already. So use effect, we have vui text that's using elapsed. It's using seconds. Cool, all right. So we're just gonna do some little copy pasta here. And we're using a prog in under the render to put multiple expressions in. Okay, that's fine, that makes sense. But, hold up. Can't really do that though. When can we call use effect? Mutable value that persists across renders without causing re-renders when changed, okay. Storing timer references. So we create a ref with a nil value. See, that just gets more complicated, right? This is where the React style of programming gets more complicated, and it starts to make me make my brains boil a little bit. Without vui use callback, memorize callbacks. Stable function that only changes when dependencies change. Memorize values. Async data loading, use async. Provides async data loading with loading error states and caching. Use a callback-based API like promises to support synchronous and truly asynchronous operations. Okay. Truly non-blocking remake process, multiple async calls, preloading data, async landscape. So, timer. We don't want it to run the timer unless the timer is supposed to be started. See, Ashraz. Now who's going to copy the chat messages? Ashraz? Just kidding. Peter says, if you look at the market cap, it's more likely for Anthropic to buy Amazon. I don't know, man. Really? I guess. Clean up, cancel timer. Okay. Let timer. Okay, just as an example, we could try to use this just to get things moving. And then maybe we can figure out how to make it work in the real context for what we're trying to accomplish. So we got that, and now we're going to put this in as well. We're running two expressions as the body of this component. So when the component gets executed, it's going to do this vui use effect, which creates a timer that runs once every second. Vui with async context, vui set state. We're going to do the same thing we did before here, setting the time text. I'm just going to delete this whole thing. And then I'm going to go drop it up here instead. Okay. How many parens are we needing here? There we go. We're going to delete that. Whoops. Hold up. Let me make sure I'm getting this right. Timer. I see. We return a lambda from the let body as a cleanup function. Okay. And then this is what? Use effect? All right, so that should be accurate. So we're setting the state. With a timer. And this is just going to start running, okay? We're not going to worry about whether it started or stopped. We're going to remove this run with timer here, and we're going to just roll that back to the beginning like that. And we're going to eval this buffer. vui set state. Oh, look, it's doing something. It did something the first time, then it choked. Okay. Current time. Can I do an addition? Oops. Can I do an addition of time? Time add. Returns. Oh, you can add seconds? Great. So, time add, time seconds. Timer start. So, current time. And then time add. Timer start. I know this is a terrible way to do this. Times 25, 60. So 60 seconds times 25 minutes. Does that fulfill this? Okay. Now eval buffer. Set state called outside of component context again. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing the thing. Is that supposed to be a lambda? It looks like it should be a lambda, right? vui with async context. What does this do? Capture current component. Is this a macro? Oh, it's a macro. That explains it. Okay, so it captures the current context and returns a function that, when called, restores the component context and executes body. Got it. All right, so basically it's just reaching back into the state that's been defined here. However, it still doesn't let me get access to that timer start variable. Why does it not like that? This is supposed to work, according to the documentation. Time text. We're setting time text. And what did they not like? vui set state called outside of component context. Is it not exactly like it's supposed to be done right here? vui use effect. Yeah. And then we're running a timer. We're calling vui with async context. That returns a function that has access to these state values. And we're calling vui set state. Yeah, okay. vui set state is what it doesn't like. Time text. Darcy says, expressing durations in terms of products is great. The few nanoseconds lost are worth the gains in readability. Well, sure, yeah. You know what we need right now? We need Claude Code to fix the code that Claude Code wrote, or at least to understand the code that Claude Code wrote. But we're not going to do that. So anyway, it's not working for an undetermined reason. Now, what we could try to do actually is run this exact timer example and see if it works. How about that? Then maybe we will start to understand what I did wrong. So we're going to change this to be, whoops, what it's called, timer example. And then we're going to eval that buffer. That's curious. Apparently the timer in my other vui is still running and it keeps changing the buffer. Huh. Interesting. But the other timer is working correctly, which is really interesting. And it's still running in the background. Like, it doesn't get cleaned up correctly. I don't know exactly how it's supposed to, because there's a lambda here for canceling the timer, but when does that get executed? When would it get executed? Unless maybe elapse gets set back to 0 manually or something? Anyway, my Emacs session is hosed now. Can I list all active timers in Emacs? Cancel. Oh, list timers right there. You have invoked the disabled command list timers. Beware, manually canceling timers can ruin your Emacs session. No kidding. Yeah, enable it. Sure, no. Oh, wow. How do I kill it? Do I press K? No. How do I use this buffer? Control HM. Timer list mode. What bindings do we have? Cancel. Cancel. Timer list cancel. C. How about that? Get out of here. Bye. Okay. That's better. Is this still running? It's still running. What's going on? This one right here. C. Okay. I think we're back to normal now. Eval buffer. So that works. That's okay. Yeah, we didn't close all of them, but we got it now. So now we got this one. I can list timers. I can go kill this timer so that we don't have to deal with it. And then we're going to go back to our previous code. And we're just going to delete that. We don't need that anymore. The point has been made that this should work. But for whatever reason, it doesn't like my bindings. I wonder if it doesn't like hyphens in the names. That couldn't be, right? Could it be that weird? Oh, it works. Sort of. It stopped. Okay, so we had a bad timer in there somewhere, and it was running things still, and it was confusing us. The timer should be working. Let me cancel this one and get out of here. Now, why did the text not update the next time? Is it because I'm doing a bad calculation in here? Time subtract, timer start. So, time subtract, time add, timer start, 25, 60. Yeah, so that should give us the time at 25 minutes ahead. And we're subtracting current time from that to get the current delta. And we're printing it. But it seems to keep printing the same thing back again. This should be repeating every time. Can I do this? Delta is, I mean, it's probably not going to tell us anything, is it? It won't tell us anything. The only thing that it could tell us is that it's actually calculating something different every time. So maybe if I go here and mark this expression and copy it to paste it back in, I just screwed that up. There we go. Okay, so we have the delta potentially being written. We can eval this buffer and maybe we get some messages. Okay, so I see the delta actually changing. For some reason, the printed value is not being changed. Unless I did something wrong with the component text. So let's go back and cancel that timer. Where are we? Right there. If timers start, that's fine. We got the vui button. Wait a minute. That's fine. Here, time text. We're setting time text, but it's not being updated correctly. Apparently, setting it is not enough to get the UI to update unless the time string is bogus. Because of bad calculation. I'm sure somebody can look at that and tell me that I'm doing something wrong. Delta is, okay, so the string is wrong. And why? Because we're not changing timer start. Should I just do this? And here, oh, I guess oh, actually, that's what's going on. We haven't set this correctly. Run with timer in, Does use effect change? Does it get recalled? Does it get called again when the values change? I can't remember how that works. Let's try this. vui set state timer start current time. And then vui set state timer end. Okay. Timer end, timer end. I don't know why we had to set timer start. Whatever. We're gonna go back to list timers. We're gonna end the stream now, but let me just see if we can get this to work. Out of curiosity. Oh, we went straight to 0. Fantastic. I'm not exactly sure why that would have been the case. Because it's nil. That's why. Whoa. All right, so let's get the timers out again. Cancel that timer. Get out of here. Okay, eval buffer. Macro expansion failure. I must have screwed up the invocation. Time add. I closed this one off too early. That's what happened. Okay. What's happening? Current time, 2560, timer end. When you set state, does it do it immediately, I wonder? On mount hook, says Krister. You might be right. Yeah, you might be right. We're a little bit late for that now, though. I gotta stop the stream in a second. Let's just look at the docs for a moment and see again where hooks runs code after rendering, optionally with cleanup. Okay, so this is after rendering. Can I do that? Is that valid? No. Anyway, obviously I was not going to become an expert. Actually, maybe it did work. I was not going to become an expert in this in one stream anyway. Not that I really need to become an expert in this. Anyway, I mean, that was interesting. So what is the conclusion we have here about the vui.el library? Well, I think it has some potential. I think that if you learn how to use it effectively, and if you were already maybe like an expert at writing React.js-based user interfaces, maybe you would feel pretty comfortable here making UIs for Emacs. I don't know that the average package developer would need this, but I don't know, it's just interesting. Like if you want something fun to hack on, you could make a UI using this. I think you could probably get pretty far with it. I don't see why not. It's better. It could be better. I'm not gonna say it's better. It could be better than writing a bunch of hand-rolled buffer manipulation code to produce something that's like a UI. So it could be nice for that. If you actually want to do something that's a bit more elaborate compared to just the basic things you could do with writing into a buffer. Like for instance, if you wanted to write an expandable user interface, kind of like how Magit has, whenever it has the different sections that have like your commit list, your diffs and everything in it, you could probably use this vui library to do something like that. I don't know how efficient it would be, but you could actually use it for that if you wanted to. Alderman Vet says, yeah, it looks like you know React, but you don't know Emacs enough to be able to write interface. Yes, it is kind of like that. I mean, if you know React, then you still don't necessarily know how to use Emacs, use a React-like library in Emacs effectively. You need good forms for your package or something, maybe. So that was cool, I guess. That was fun. Kudos to Boris, I think his name is, the author of the package. D12 Frosted, I believe D12 Frosted, what did he have before? There was something people in the community were using from D12 Frosted at some point. Was it a Mac build of Emacs? There was something that I remember downloading from D12 Frosted. Oh, D12 Frosted had like a homebrew cask or something. Ah, homebrew Emacs Plus. That's right. Okay, that's why I remember that name. Anyway. And it's still being updated, which is cool. So yes, you can write React-style Emacs UI in Emacs with vui.el if you want to. If you want to try hard enough to actually learn how to use it effectively, which, I mean, it's doable, apparently. But I don't know that I'll bother. So yeah, check out the new Geeks release. As I mentioned, Geeks 1.5 is out now. Geeks 1.5 blog post. Go check that out if you're using Geeks. If you're not using Geeks, then forget about it because you don't care. And yeah, we'll figure out what we're going to do next week when we're back on the stream. As always, give me suggestions if you want to see certain things on the streams. I may not take them. I may do something completely different. It really just depends on my whims at the last minute for the week. But I always appreciate getting suggestions. So thank you to those of you who suggested this. Alternate Ved and Morgan W were the ones who suggested it. VC updates. I can't do it right now, but maybe next week. So remind me. Maybe we'll take a look at it. I've been using VC mode less because Magit is just more convenient in a lot of ways. And I've been looking at a lot of diffs. So yeah, music is not dead, Alternate Ved. I can kill the stream though if you want and have the music be dead. All right, so thank you all for being here. I really appreciate your time and attention. I hope you all have a great weekend. Until next time, happy hacking. See ya. Yes, my backend didn't work to to make this. Thank you for watching the stream come up. You're seeing the behind the scenes of the end here. Thank you, Alternate Vet, for telling me my stream is broken again. Bye bye. See you later.